I'm curious. This is a sales podcast. We have a bunch of avid sales folks listening. They want to know how we use it to find customers, find leads. Do you just go into GPT and type, "Hey, find me some leads"? And
Yeah,
specifically
exactly. That's
the
exactly what you do.
context. I want the Glengarry leads, man. I want that.
Right? I wish you were there. Yeah, that simple.
Yeah.
This is where some of the what I discussed earlier ties into this very conversation, because remember our custom instructions. So the more you feed into ChatGPT, the more it knows about your particular situation, the better it's going to be able to help you. So be sure to fill out those custom instructions, including what kind of business you run, what kind of leads you're looking for, what kind of avatar you're targeting. We haven't even spoken about avatars. That's a huge part of the sales process, of course. Really delving, you can use a chat GPT to really flush out your avatar a little more and ask it's their needs, wants, fears, and aspirations, those kinds of things, their common issues and obstacles that you can better serve them, all kinds of things, just from an avatar perspective, right? So you feed all of that into GPT so it really knows who you're looking for to find the custom leads that you need. But because I knew you were going to ask this question, Colin, I took my super prompt, which this might be a good segue to introduce the super prompt and how I used it for this particular application, and how every single one of your listeners can do the same.
I love it. Let's do
Awesome.
it.
All right, so let me share my screen here, and I'm going to read everything on my screen just for the viewers who don't have that.
Technically, they'd be listeners, but
there you go. You know what I meant.
yeah.
Where are we here? There we go. Okay, so I'm in GPT-4 here, and this is my super prompt. So feel free to swipe and deploy. And actually, I'll give you a link to Colin for your listeners and viewers where they can download this as well. It'll just be, so my website is josephmarketing.com. It'll just be josephmarketing.com/super prompt. So you can go there and get this for you. Okay, so here is the super prompt itself. And it's super because it's a prompt to create a prompt. So it's a little Inceptionist. If you remember the Leo DiCaprio movie about it's a dream within a dream and within a dream. That's why I call it Inception. So this is a prompt to create a better prompt, because back to our garbage in, garbage out statement, it goes like this, and I quote, "Act as a prompt engineer for ChatGPT." You always want to call it a role or what it's trying to do, right? So that's where that's coming from. Act as a prompt engineer for ChatGPT. I will state what I want in a base prompt, and you will re-engineer it into a better prompt that will yield the best and most desirable response from ChatGPT. Each re-engineered prompt should invoke asking ChatGPT to act as a role. For example, act as a lawyer. Be as specific as possible in the role as required by the base prompt. For example, act as a family law attorney in the jurisdiction of Washington, D.C. Much more specific than just saying act as a lawyer, right? So you want to be hyper specific to your situation. That's why this is going to be custom to everything. Okay, that's part one of the prompt, first paragraph. Second paragraph continues. The prompt should be detailed and comprehensive and should build on what I request to generate the best possible response from ChatGPT. You must consider and apply what makes a great prompt that generates amazing contextual responses. Don't just repeat, and I put this in here because this is, ChatGPT is famous for doing this, and I say, don't just repeat what I request, but improve and build upon my requests so that the final prompt will yield the best, most useful, and most favorable response out of ChatGPT. Place any variables in square brackets. And then I demonstrate the square brackets. And here is a prompt that I want you to re-engineer and make the best possible, colon. That's where you insert and put your base prompt in there. In this particular example, I said, my base prompt is, and I quote, "a prompt to find me more leads for my agency," because that's what our discussion was. How can I find more leads for my agency? In this case, Joseph Marketing. Now, remember, because I already put the custom instructions into ChatGPT, it already knows what my agency is all about. And I told Ava, I told her what to call herself. I told her to be a little sassy, colloquial, informal with an attitude. And she says, hey, Dave, love this prompt game we've got going. So you want leads? Let's up the ante here. Very informal. Then that's how I like to deal with people. Right? And she states the original prompt, a prompt to find me more leads for my agency. So if I just went into ChatGPT directly and said, hey, what can I do to find me more leads for my agency? You could type that, or you could type this output that Ava re-engineered for me. Act as a growth marketing strategist specializing in B2B service companies. She already knows what I specialize. I didn't have to state that in the base prompt at all. They already know. Okay, that's why that custom instruction is so important. Develop a detailed and tailored multi-channel lead gen strategy to help joesmarketing.com attract 7-figure businesses looking to double their revenue within 12 months or less, because that's my value proposition, right? They already know that. Consider both inbound and outbound channels. I didn't put that in, but ChatGPT was smart enough to consider both of those. Consider both inbound and outbound channels and identify specific targeting criteria for maximum conversion. Also recommend KPIs to track performance, bonus points for creative flair. And then Ava, that's the re-engineered prompt. And then Ava continues, this way, ChatGPT won't just spit out some generic stuff. You'll get an approach that's actually aligned with what Joe's Marketing is all about. How's that sound? Rocket ship emoji, she adds in. Okay. I think you can do better. So I said, excellent. Can you execute the above prompt you just suggested? This way I didn't have to copy and paste. I just said, just do it for me. And she says, you're putting me to work. Love it. All right, let's get straight into strategist mode. And then she repeats the prompt and then puts it in headlines and sections. Inbound channels and content marketing and SEO and LinkedIn organic outreach. Outbound channels, cold emailing, LinkedIn ads, webinars. Okay, and for webinars, she adds creative flair. How about a double your revenue challenge? Create a 30-day online challenge aimed at 7-figure companies looking to scale. Fantastic idea, right? Stuff like that. And then she ends with, think that gives you something meaty to work with? It's okay. These are fairly standard. We know about content marketing, SEO, LinkedIn organic outreach, cold emailing. There's nothing earth-shattering here, right? I think she can do better. So I haven't pressed the send button on this yet, but I queued this up for the purposes of this demonstration. So I literally tell her, those are okay, but I think you can do better. Also, when suggesting items, this is a nice ninja tip I like to do as well. Feel free to use as well. When suggesting items, please number them so I can refer to them easily. Try again. Okay, so I'm gonna hit send. I don't know what she's gonna come up with, but I asked her to number them because a lot of times I'll say, do more like number 5. I really like that one. Then she'll spit out a whole bunch more similar to what I actually want. That's why you want to use numbers instead of the bullet points she just listed here, because it's harder for me to reference them. And in business, efficiency counts. So let's see what she comes up with. All right. And that's why you don't do live demos.
Detected unusual activity from your system. Please try again.
Please try again later. Okay, so I get an error message, but you get the idea. I'm sure she would have came up with something better, because GPT always does when I do that exercise. You can actually say, do that. I think you can do better. Try again, right? And they will, and they'll get more creative, and you push and poke and prod, and GPT will actually give you better answers.
And for context, while you're doing that, I plugged find more leads from my agency into standard GPT without any custom instructions or anything. And it gave me a very broad, 5 things you can do for digital marketing. You can do networking, referral programs, cold outreach, local advertising, list building, webinars. You give me 10 different pieces, 11, 12 different pieces. But it wasn't anything specific or good that I could actually use. By just giving it that additional bit of context, you improved how useful the advice it was giving you was.
Absolutely. And it was specific to my business. Hey, why don't you create a double your revenue challenge? Hey, even the name is great. Fantastic.